Marty Cifuentes there, taking charge of his 70th game of Queen's Park Rangers tonight, looking for win number 25. But it's all about John Eustace. That's the story surrounding this one this evening. Sam Parkin watching alongside me. The thing that struck me with this whole John Eustace thing, moving from Blackburn, who are in 5th place, down to Derby County, who have different objectives in the remainder of the season, is how honest he's been about the whole thing this week. I was at Blackburn against Wolves last week, came back in the car, was listening to his comments on the radio, and I think what is strange really is that we're probably conditioned as football fans now to hear footballers ultimately telling lies. They don't like to get the truth out there. You know, journalists are there to try and squeeze something out of them, but ultimately he's come out and told it as it was, and here he is now at a new club.
Yeah, I think probably his openness has led all the neutrals and also the supporters of Blackburn Rovers to kind of get a feel and get an understanding of possibly just how bleak things are behind the scenes there. Maybe that's quite a strong word I've just used there, but clearly the infrastructure of the club currently, the backing that he's had, isn't akin to what he believes he's going to get at Derby. That is a big part of what's going on, and I think that kind of ingredient has come out across the last 24, 48 hours. I think partly because there's been so much conversation about it, and I think that's the reality. I think the reality is he doesn't feel that he's been backed, probably in terms of his own personal situation, his contract, maybe the players that have been signed have been players brought in by the hierarchy, the people in the decision-making positions rather than the manager, and he feels that moving to Derby County long-term is a better career trajectory maybe for his own personal want for what he wants from the next few years, and that's putting aside the location. Lives in the West Midlands. It's probably an hour's commute. His staff as well, Keith Downing and Matt Gardner, he was with those two guys previously at Birmingham. I'm sure they ideally want to be coaching in the Midlands as well. And he was a hero. He was only there 2 seasons, but he's held in such high regard at the club as well. Yeah, it certainly ticks a lot of boxes for him. The sides are out here at Loftus Road. A big match atmosphere and a big feel to this one here this evening. Just a quick word on QPR as well, who are almost getting lost in the whole Eustace talk this week. Where are they at for you this season, and what can be their ambition for what remains? I think they've got an outside chance of the playoffs. I don't think there's too many better teams in the little cusp of teams that are jostling for these playoff positions. There's the 4 that are away, I would suggest, at the top of the table, and then you could make a case for anyone outside of there, probably all the way down to about 15th. So QPR have been playing really well until recently. They've had a little bit of a wobble, but they've shown consistently since November time that they're an excellent outfit. I think that Marty Cifuentes once more, and some of the new players, taking a little bit of time this season to get going, but now that they have, I think they've got one of the best coaches in the division. I give them a chance, but they need to maintain their home form, and they need to be more probably consistent on the road. There's been too many of those off nights for them, despite the upturn. Yeah, it is just 4 points the difference between QPR's position in 13th and 7th place Bristol City at the moment, but it's 6 points in all to the top 6. West Brom in the 6th place at the moment. The top 4 well and away over the hill at the moment. It is about those final 2 playoff places. We'll kick off here just a couple of minutes away, so let's run you through the team news once again here between QPR and Derby County. 2 changes from the home side who've changed. Jonathan Varane and Yang Min Hyuk, who come into the side that played Coventry on Tuesday. Jack Colback and Paul Smith making way. So Nadi in goal, Dunn, Cook, Edwards and Parr the back line. Varane sat in front with Chair and Field either side. Yang and Saito either side of Frey up front. More changes for Derby. They're without Nat Phillips and David Ozo, who drop out of the squad altogether. Caden Jackson and Kenzo Goodmine drop to the bench. Nyambe comes in. Osborne as well into midfield with Harness, and Jerry Yates recalled into the front line of some sort. We'll see exactly how they line up once they get underway. Zetterstrom in goal. Nyambe, Langhaus, Clark and Elder the back line. Adams and Osborne in midfield. Mendes Lang the captain on the right. Harness off the left, and we think Yates will play off Salverson in some way. Derby in yellow tonight with navy shorts and yellow socks. They are getting this game underway as they attack the Loftus Road stand in this first half, and straight away a long ball forward from the back by Zetterstrom.
As Derby look to put QPR under some early pressure. QPR able to boot it away, but it goes straight back to Zetterstrom, who has it inside his own penalty area. Just short of 2,000 Derby fans have made the trip away to our right-hand side. This whole game live for you here on Talksport 2. Brighton-Chelsea, the other option for you on Talksport tonight. You can download the Talksport app, swipe left and right between the two stations, pick your favourite game and follow the action as it unfolds in this one. QPR in possession on the right here with Jimmy Dunn over the halfway line as he plays it into Yang, the teenager with an opportunity tonight from the start, having come on as a sub in their last few games. And QPR having it at the back here with Cook. Sam Parkin, EFL expert, alongside me for this one. Any surprises in the two-side shape from the off here?
Well, the player that's intriguing me at the moment is Marcus Harness. He's playing very narrow on the left-hand side, but tucked in. They kicked off as if they were in a back three. Thundering challenge going in there from Adams, no surprise there. But yeah, they looked like they were in a back three initially. Now Callum Elder's dropped into a left-back position, so back four without the ball. But it's Marcus Harness who's playing very tucked in on the left-hand side. So just going to keep an eye on Derby's formation as this plays out the next few minutes.
Derby haven't won in 9 championship games now. Their last win 2-1 against West Brom on Boxing Day. They do have a throw in here in line with the edge of their own penalty area as we look down towards the right hand side here. Temperature sitting at just 2 degrees here as we kick off. It is pretty cold. Disappointed that Sam Parkin didn't decide to come with me for a nice Syrian pre-match meal tonight, but didn't happen in the end. I'm over it already. The pie's made up for it in the press room. QPR trying to come forward, but Derby block it away. Harness trying to run forward now. He plays it out to the left-hand side as they head towards halfway with Osborne. High ball down the left and Harness onto it here. The man unknown from Ipswich tucks it inside the centre half there, Cook. But in the end ran out of room. He goes behind for a goal kick to QPR. We played 2 minutes here on Talksport 2. QPR 0, Derby 0.
Yeah, terrific pass. Osborne and Harness is in a good position there in between Dunn and Steve Cook. But yeah, example of the type of defending that Jimmy Dunn is producing week after week at the moment. He's been standout performer, loads of speculation about his future during January, but defensively really stable since he's gone to right back, and also a huge goal threat for QPR this season.
What do you think clubs see him as now? Is he still a centre-half playing at right back, or do you think that's going to be his position long term?
I think he's been that good. Then, you know, when he moves on, I think it'd be foolish not to deploy him there. He almost has special dispensation, it would seem, from Marty Cifuentes to not only from dead balls, but during open play to stay up and position himself in the 18-yard box. So many opportunities he has on the opposition's goal, so many attempts. He's a big reason, I think, for the upturn. He's been fantastic in that position. John Eustace watching down in front of us here, his first game in charge of Derby tonight. He was an assistant coach here at QPR for just about 4 years until 2022. Had 7 games in caretaker charge of them as well at the back end of the 2018-19 season. He was assistant to Steve McLaren, eventually helped them avoid relegation from the Championship, winning 7 points in his time as caretaker. Stayed on under Mark Warburton as well, and then worked as coach with the Republic of Ireland national team as well under Stephen Kenny, but did eventually leave QPR once Michael Beale arrived in June 2022. Ball out of play here as Derby try and attack again down the right-hand side. It is a goal kick here to QPR. Pitch in all right condition, a little bit sparse in the 2 goal mouths at either end of the field, but hopefully a good game of football in front of us here. QPR have only won 6 of 16 home games this season, but it's Derby's away form that has been the problem for them. Just 1 away win so far this campaign, and that is something that John Eustace is going to have to address. That victory, a sole 2-1 win at Coventry back in November, winless in 8 away games since then. Looking to upset the odds here tonight at Loftus Road against a QPR side that have lost 3 of the last 4, but since the end of November only Leeds have won more points than them overall. It's been a massive upturn for Marty Cifuentes. All cleared away here by Sander Langaus, the Norway international, playing at centre half tonight for Derby County. Langaus again chests it down into midfield. It goes back to Matt Clark, signed from Middlesbrough in the January transfer window. Zetterstrom wearing his Petr Cech style cap in goal, sends a high one forward. It's picked up by Jerry Yates on the right hand side. Yates back up the line, Nyembe into midfield to Osborne, just inside the centre circle, just inside the QPR half, and it goes back now to Clark.
Sander Langos alongside him. Nyembe now on the right-hand side. Mendes Lang back to him. Derby just trying to get a touch or two on the ball here and nearly given away in midfield there. It was a heavy touch by Adams, but manages to retain the ball. Clark then with a long crossfield pass into Mendes Lang on the right wing. Midway inside the QPR half, rolls it down the right-hand side here into the path of Yates, holding it by the corner flag, back up the line. Derby having much of the ball in the early stages here. We've played 5.5 minutes. It's QPR 0, Derby 0. Salverson inside the penalty area, but back to goal. Has to come back out before he can work it forward again. Tries to play it down the left-hand side towards Callum Elder. QPR only half clear it here. And eventually it's out of play for a Derby throw in line with the edge of the penalty area on the left-hand side there. Away fans away to our right getting excited as they get into the penalty area here. But Elder has overrun it. It's out of play. And another goal kick to QPR, who in these early stages are having to do plenty of defensive work, Sam.
Yeah, Derby had a reasonably good start here, able to get their foot on the ball. I think that's definitely been evident in the couple of games under the interim Matt Hamshaw. They've tried to play a little bit more. Obviously they had their success across the last season in League One, being quite direct and energetic, especially from the front, but certainly have added a pass or two in the last couple of fixtures, which has ended in them arresting that slide and that run of defeat. But yeah, let's see if it can translate into opportunities onto QPR's goal, because that's still where they've been short in the last couple of fixtures. Yeah,
pinched the point at Norwich. 92nd minute penalty from Jerry Yates, grabbing a point there. And had plenty of the ball against Oxford too on Tuesday, but that one ended goalless back at Pride Park. They've got some tough-looking games on the horizon as well. Millwall go to Pride Park after their heavy defeat at Plymouth in midweek. Next Saturday, they've got Middlesbrough away to come. Michael Carrick's side, who've dropped off recently, and then Blackburn come to Pride Park at the start of March as well. No easy games for them at this stage of the season. But of course, as one of the promoted sides and finishing runners-up in League One last season, the ambition surely would have just been to stay in the league. Here's Harness approaching the edge of the penalty area on the left. It was Cluck with a sliding challenge to get the ball away for QPR. And the ball doesn't stick down the right-hand side for Yang, whose touches so far haven't really helped his side. He's out of play for a throw into Derby here, 20 yards inside the QPR half, down the left-hand side.
I would imagine it wouldn't have half helped John Eustace having his last away game for Blackburn here in terms of the tactical sparring between the two coaches. And already I spoke about Derby going back into a back four without the ball. Certainly with the ball, Elder's been given loads of licence down the left-hand side to go really high and wide. Maybe that's because Sato's not necessarily the most defensively switched on, and also with Harness's position tucking in, maybe that's because John Eustace doesn't feel that Jimmy Dunn's going to give too much to QPR in an attacking sense in open play. So Harness in essence cheating a little bit. I think he's a better player when he's central, Marcus Harness, so he's getting close to the two centre forwards, and they've started the game better, no question. QPR not going yet, and just thinking maybe this was a game, despite not knowing the players too well, John Eustace inevitably, he's just played against QPR. He knows what Cifuentes is all about, knows how they've been getting success, and probably a good idea about how to go about counteracting them.
Yeah, there has been this drop off for QPR. 3 defeats in 4, then after 4 successive wins against Watford, Luton, Plymouth and Hull. No great shakes in that run, but getting the wins on the board nonetheless to push them up the championship table. Harness here to Elder down the left, up to the byline, tries to get the cross in, it comes back. QPR just about clear it away. Frey tries to hold it near halfway, but he's given it away. Once again, it's Mendes Lang who's drifted over to the left this time. Frey dropping into the right back position to try and help it away. Yang now receives, tries to run here at Clark, who puts a foot in quickly and knocks it off the Korean. It's a throw in here to Derby, and I think the Derby fans enthused by what they've seen so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Really aggressive. Yan unable to get the space to get QPR moving, to connect with the centre forward. Frey squeezing the game intelligently, and again the left hand side proving fruitful. It was Callum Elder getting to the byline, getting a really good ball in actually, which was scrambled clear by QPR. But this left hand side, Elder, Harness combination, Mendes Lang coming over there as well, just proving problematic to Yang and Jimmy Dunn in these opening exchanges.
Free kick to QPR just inside the Derby half. Foul there on Yang. Referee tonight David Webb. And QPR really haven't had too many meaningful touches outside of their own half so far, but they have one here. Ilias Chair back to Dunn, who goes across to Ronnie Edwards on loan from Southampton. Didn't get much of a kick there in the first half of the season after his move from Peterborough United. A big jump for him. Cook. Done. Inside his own half. Rolls it up the touchline here to Yang, who was signed by Spurs from Gangwon, who he scored 12 goals for in the last calendar year in the K-League. And Spurs clearly wanted to get some football into him in the second half of the season. QPR willing to be that club to give him the opportunity, making his first start for them here this evening. QPR a little bit ponderous on the ball at the moment. Derby sitting in, fairly tight, congested. I think trying to push QPR into those wide areas at the moment. Yeah, QPR not keen to do it, and Varane just put the ball straight out of play under limited pressure.
Yeah, not moving the ball neatly, QPR, and Derby almost man for man. That front line certainly. Yates got detached for a moment, and Ronnie Edwards, who has already shown in QPR colours what a sophisticated ball playing defender he is, got to be mindful of him stepping beyond their press, if you like, and knitting it together for QPR. And Yates did just get detached a little bit, but yeah, it's been a struggle for Rangers, no question. 11 minutes in.
Clark back here to the Swedish goalkeeper Zetterström, to Langhaus, high towards Salverson in the centre forward position. He was signed from Viking for around £1 million in January. And we brought in Sander Langhaus as well from the same club at the start of February. Two players who know each other well. They roomed together at Viking. That's how much they're on the same wavelength as each other, but playing at opposite ends of the field in this Derby side. Kenneth Parr drifting into midfield and playing it to Dunn. Varane, towering presence in front of the QPR backline, gives it to Dunn. Back inside now to Cook. Edwards square of him. In terms of Ronnie Edwards, Steve Cook probably a fairly solid defender to learn some more of the game at a championship level next to. Here was QPR come forward down the right with Yang, edge of the penalty area. Looking to play it into the box, but no option there. Dunn eventually crosses from the right, but doesn't really get much height on it. Derby able to clear away through Osborne, back towards the halfway line, where Cook is there for QPR.
Yeah, I think he's a great example to all the young players in QPR's squad. Steve Cook, I think he's improved every side that he's been in across the last few years. Remember him going to Nottingham Forest from Bournemouth, and talismanic for them, and he's certainly been that for QPR in his time here. But Ronnie Edwards has got great experience, played a lot of games.
Chair plays it down the left-hand side, and Saito inside the area. Can't quite get the ball out to his feet. He was challenged quickly by Langhaus. And Nyembe looking for a way away down the right-hand side. Knocks it off the QPR man in the end. It is a throw to Derby, but just in the last couple of minutes, QPR starting to flex their attacking muscles.
Yeah, a little bit hesitant once he got in, Saito, on the left-hand side. Enjoyed that build-up from QPR. You mentioned Paul coming into midfield. I think that's problem solving, not the players. It probably comes from the coach that were finding it hard to connect, really, to play through the thirds. All of a sudden, the full-back into midfield. Chair went really wide on the left-hand side. Saito was infield momentarily, and QPR found a way to move Derby around and also find a little bit of space to play out more comfortably. Elder
with a long channel ball down the left-hand side, but it's beyond harness, beyond everyone, as it flies straight out of play for a throw-in to QPR. It's going to be taken here by Jimmy Dunn. Sam alluded to it earlier, but Jimmy Dunn has had the most shots on target and most touches in the opposition box of any QPR player so far this season. That is his attacking output from right back. It's his throw up the touchline here into Frey. Again, can't hold on to the ball. Derby pinch it back and have it here through Osborne. Langhaus standing on the ball in the defensive line at the moment, pressurised now by Frey, so goes square to Nyembe. Forward into midfield to Mendes-Lang. A little flick behind him towards Yates. QPR have it back. They're inside the Derby half, and Varane trying to go past his man. Saw a challenge coming, went over a leg. Wins a free kick for QPR. 10 yards inside the Derby half, left of centre. We've played 14 and a half minutes. It's QPR 0, Derby 0 here on Talksport 2. Yeah, I don't imagine those two will be in combat too often, but I think both had real impacts on their clubs. Varane for QPR, having a natural defensive midfielder, has been really pivotal in the upturn. Sam Field's done it at times, Colback of course, but when Varane's in the side, QPR are a better outfit.
And no question, Adams has probably been the standout player for Derby throughout the season. I think he's certainly up there in terms of tackles and what have you in the division. Real competitor, he's been excellent.
High ball forward here for QPR, nodded on by Dunn into the penalty area, looped into the middle by Field and grabbed by Zetterstrom. It bounced right in front of him. He was very happy there to see that Ronnie Edwards didn't get a telling touch on it, and the goalkeeper has the ball in his hands. It remains 0-0.
Just on the stretch a little bit, Sam Field, I would suggest, had that been on his left foot on the opposite side of the 18-yard box, he may have been able to execute the delivery that he intended. In the end, Edwards was in a battle, I think, with Clark at the near post and wasn't able to get the purchase on the header to take it into a dangerous area.
Zetterstrom holds onto the ball for a long time, hence the boos from the home fans here. Eventually drops it down and launches it forwards. Dunn launches it back and he goes straight out of play. Well, plenty were asking why Eustace decided to swap Blackburn in their playoff position for Derby down in 21st place, but he said that having spoken to the chairman David Clowes, everything was there that he wanted. A long-term vision was exciting, he said. The facilities great. Of course, he knew that from his spell at Derby. Finished his playing career there, actually got sent off for a couple of yellow cards in his final professional appearance, playing for Derby in a win against Ipswich. Mendes-Lang crossing here towards Yates, comes back out to the edge of the area. Salverson trying to hit it on the turn. He goes down as QPR were able to clear there. No huge great appeals for a penalty towards the referee, who didn't even really react to the challenge. It's back on the left here with Elder. Osborne now, and in fact the referee has decided to stop play. No head injury, but Derby in possession in a non-threatening position, so the referee deciding that Salverson should be seen to.
Well, I would like to think he's just on the deck because it's a really sore one. There's certainly a collision with Sam Field. I hope he's not suggesting that it should be a penalty. I think Field just gets in and makes a really good block, but yeah, absolutely, there's a little bit of contact, and I'm sure it's a pain. He actually kicked Sam Field's studs there, so yeah, it's never nice.
And the likes of Salverson and Langhaus really easing themselves back in due to the fact that in Norway they play in a calendar year rather than a winter season, like we do here in England. So they did play their final games towards the end of November, so have had a month or so really without any competitive football. But he is a man who finished in form. 8 goals in his last 12 appearances now, including the 1 goal that he's got for Derby so far. Lars-Jørgen Salverson, when he netted against Cardiff at the end of last month, a defeat there in South Wales. He's just receiving a bit of treatment at the moment from the 2 Derby physios, but John Eustace, who's giving a couple of instructions down there to Nyambe and Langhaus, will be pretty happy with what he's seen from his side so far. Everything he probably could have asked without really threatening the QPR goal.
Absolutely, I think without the ball, pretty spot on. Frustrated QPR in the opening 10 minutes, weren't able to get into any rhythm whatsoever. As has been the story throughout the campaign, probably just wants a little bit more quality in the final third, but I think fundamentally they'll just want to be in the game probably tonight, given QPR's home form until the latter stages. Try and keep it competitive, try and nick something. They're not going to steamroll QPR tonight, but early signs really good. The organisation that you would anticipate with Paul Warne before John Eustace, and naturally now that he's got the gig, they look to be up for the fight certainly, and good structure about them. Yeah, well, they ended a run of 10 matches without a clean sheet against Oxford as well on Tuesday, which will have been a big boost for them, but just 18 goals they've scored from open play so far this season. That has been an issue for them. Harness trying to carry the ball forward here, but he's tackled by Varane in midfield. Now Dunn trying to go over the halfway line, little step over, tried to check back, and in the end Osborne saw what was coming and dispossessed him. Derby back on the ball inside their own half. Now Adams goes back to Clark. Osborne back to Clark on the edge of his own penalty area here. And Zetterstrom again inside his own 6-yard box, plays a high ball away towards the right-hand side. Yates gets the flick on here to Salverson. And out now to Mendes-Lang on the right-hand side of midfield. The Guatemala international as he is these days, rolls it down the line, carries on his run. Yates back here to Nyambe in a deep position just out from the right corner of the penalty area. Nearly 20 minutes gone here at Loftus Road. QPR 0, Derby 0. But into the area now, Mendes-Lang tries to play it forward. Yates was not quite on his toes there, didn't anticipate the ball, and it runs straight through to QPR goalkeeper Paul Nardi. A difficult pass to measure really for Yates. Not much margin for error, but breezed past Pyle on the right-hand side. Really nice play from Mendes-Lang, who can frustrate, but when he's on it, he can be a considerable threat for Derby. Lovely approach play, just couldn't find the delivery.
Field, lovely ball caressed out to the left-hand side here to Frey. They want him in the middle, really, but he's trying to tiptoe his way forward with the ball. Eventually plays it to Dunn over on the right-hand side. 10 yards inside the Derby half. Back into Cook. Square to Edwards. QPR trying to grow in confidence here, but Derby giving them very little in the opening quarter of this game.
Yeah, almost as if John Eustace knows that Jimmy Dunn and QPR are going to be a back three when they're trying to build. Paul's going to be the one that moves upfield or comes into midfield. So that back three, Jimmy Dunn's not going to threaten in terms of making 2v1s with Yang on the right-hand side. So Marcus Harness can just stay in field. And obviously if they get into a race, if the space is behind Dunn, you're going to back Harness. No problem at all with his athleticism. So it's almost as if playing a little bit of cat and mouse, those two, and understanding you can be a little bit braver down your left flank.
Yeah, a very different year this season for Harness, having been promoted with Ipswich last, but surplus to requirements in the Premier League as QPR go for it, and that is a quite stunning goal. Ilias Chair from way out has fired it into the far corner, and for all of Derby's good play so far, it was a touch of genius from the Moroccan maestro, and Queen's Park Rangers hit the front with just over 21 minutes gone. Chair runs over to the fans on the far side and ushers a bit of calm, but that was something special. It's QPR 1, Derby 0.
It comes from absolutely nowhere, and it's the one thing that's been missing from his game in the last few performances. He's been really on it, he's been providing opportunities for his teammates, but he's not been able to get his finishing right in the last few weeks and months, I hasten to add, and that is just a thing of beauty. They're in good possession, Derby. Niambi, I think it is, that's dispossessed around about the 18-yard box, infield from Frey, and he just lets fly. It's moving all the time as it whistles towards the far corner. It's a beautiful, beautiful strike from Ilias Chair, QPR's best player for a number of years now. Now he's up and running in goal scoring terms this season.
If the goal, the hit itself, wasn't remarkable enough, maybe the stat that comes with it as well. That is Ilias Chair's first goal of this championship season. It's taken until mid-February to come, but boy was it worth the wait. And Loftus Road absolutely loved that. At least 3/4 of it, the Derby fans less so, away to our right-hand side. There was no stopping that at all, was it? It was right in the side netting.
Yeah, it's hit really fiercely. It's moving around as well. Zetterstrom's probably got a few players in the way, and it's right in the corner of the net. And he's more than capable of that type of thing. Not been doing it clearly this season, but he's a fantastically gifted player. He's the type of player you pay money happily to go and watch when he's on it. And he loves it here at QPR. Signed a new contract relatively recently. Performances have been good. If he can start doing that, QPR have got a good chance of having a great end to the season.
The first bump in the road for John Eustace, whose side are behind here. Could get worse for them. Yang inside the box, tries to play it back to Frey. Whistle had gone from the referee anyway, after Elder was fouled inside the penalty area. And now QPR with their tails up and chasing a second goal.
Yeah, go direct there, and it didn't look like a foul to me. Looked like Yang did really well just to out-muscle Callum Elder on the left-hand side. What he didn't do well, once he won possession of the ball, was find a teammate. There's a little nick maybe on his right calf, but Yang was unable to find Frey anyway in the middle.
Something's happening down below us, can't quite see because one of the analysts has a massive camera which is blocking our view here, but it is a throw in to Derby, which Elder is going to take. Sends it past Salverson. Cook will loop it back into the Derby half, up towards Frey. Chest control, touches it down towards Chair. His strike certainly getting you out of your seat. And Derby start again on the edge of their own penalty area. We have it with Elder, back to Clark, who curls it towards halfway, but cushioned down by Cook into Dunn, who goes all the way back to the French goalkeeper Nadi here. It's a stadium which seems to generate moments of magic time and time again. I remember a goal here from Jimmy Dunn, I think probably the last time I was here actually, against Birmingham City last season, where he hit it from about 30 yards and it flew into the far corner. Things just happen in this stadium that don't always happen at other grounds in the Championship. Tight, compact, full house just about here tonight. And Chair exciting everyone with that goal, the only goal of the game so far. QPR leading Derby by 1-0. Played back here by Evo Adams to Zetterstrom. Langhaus on the edge of his own penalty area. to Nyambe, the right back. Derby switching their shape here tonight. Eustace going to a back four. But I'm not sure playing a back five would have stopped that goal. It was from a good 25, nearly 30 yards there from Chair. Langos out to Nyambe on the right-hand side. Derby with it inside their own half here. Mendes-Lang right on the halfway line. Loops a pass into the right channel. It was in between both Yates and Salverson up front. It is a throw-in to Derby, just about in line with the edge of the QPR penalty area.
Yeah, John Eustace really encouraging Elder to step on the left-hand side. Harness is almost playing in the number 10 position now. He's kind of vacated the left-hand side, just trying to draw Dunn across, maybe trying to test Yang's fitness for one, but also his concentration in tracking Derby's left-sided defender Elder. Adams back to Clark, a player the Derby fans know well, having had a previous spell at the club from Brighton earlier in his career. Back here to Zetterstrom. Stands with the ball on the edge of his own penalty area here. The Derby goalkeeper clips a high one over halfway towards the right-hand side, and Yates. Well nodded down there by Edwards, who dealt with it easily. And now a piercing run by Varane, who goes down just over the halfway line, but no foul, says the referee. Mendes-Lang back now to Nyambe. Crowd has settled down again after that stunning goal from Ilias Chair to open the scoring here. Eustace urging his side to use the left side of the field. Elder advancing down the left wing with Yang tucked inside. Harness finds him now. The Australian goes back though into Osborne. Has a look over his shoulder looking forward, but plays it back to Clark. Langhaus. Now Nyambe. Right back over halfway. Now to Mendes-Lang on the right-hand side of midfield. Trying to hang on to the ball, trying to take on his man, but he's been dispossessed in the end by the Japanese Koki Sato on loan from Lommel, the Belgian side. It's Derby who really have to chase QPR here, who are just knocking the ball around, getting a few touches on the ball. A special match ball at the moment. This is February. This February is Football versus Homophobia's month of action. If homophobic or discriminatory abuse is witnessed, it can be reported directly to clubs through Kick It Out, the EFL's reporting tool, or by alerting a steward. But the EFL and Puma have created a rainbow match ball for this month as well, which serves as a reminder that football is for everyone. All 72 clubs playing with the ball during the month of February. Play has stopped here because Derby have a free kick right on the halfway line, which Osborne is standing over here. Almost everyone forward here for Derby. It's going to be hoisted high from left to right towards Clark inside the penalty area. Drops here in the area and a volley towards goal, hammered over the top by Adams. And that has to go down as a real chance for Derby. He had plenty of time and space right on the edge of the penalty area. Had to wait for the ball to come out of the sky though. And in the end cursed himself for smacking it high over the bar. Let off for QPR because he's in, 5 yards of space. Just hangs back, edge of the D. Nobody anticipates the danger. The QPR persuasion, and it's a good opportunity. The best by a distance for Derby, I would suggest, despite it being a tough task to keep it down on the volley. Adams, but gets plenty of meat behind it, just can't keep it low enough to work. Nardi. Elder for Derby, back to Clark. It's been a familiar pattern for them so far. Centre half out to full back and back again, now with the goalkeeper Zetterstrom. He plays a long high ball towards the right hand side where Yates once again nods on towards Mendes-Lang. Would it be a massive, I don't say disappointment, but shame for Derby if they do go down? Is this a side that should be staying in the Championship for you? I think it was always going to be a huge challenge. I think they're probably about where I anticipated. They had a brilliant start to the campaign at Pride Park. Obviously, they've not been able to maintain that. And I think when you look at the squad, it's always going to be a struggle because there's much more quality in the teams that they're competing against. And yeah, who's to know whether they'd have improved had they made a change a little bit earlier. But I think that's doing a disservice to the sterling work Paul Warne did last season, and also in keeping them competitive the first 6 months of this campaign. I just think it's inevitability, really. If you don't have the necessary quality, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. We'll see what John Eustace can do in the time that remains of the season, but my hunch is it'll probably go down to the wire.
14 games left, and Eustace said as much in his press conference yesterday that he expects it to go right to the final day. The club are working currently to bring in investors, but Eustace saying he's happy with what they've got going forward. I guess he was always going to say that without a transfer window to work with. Just has to deal with the players that are in front of him right now. It is a massive footballing weekend here across the Talksport network. I'll tell you about it in a second as Yates receives the ball here inside the penalty area. Back out to the left-hand side to Salverson. Edge of the area here is Harness for Derby. Just left of centre, Yates inside the box. Clips it towards the far post. Powell heads it away. It is going to run out of play for a throw-in to Derby on the right-hand side. Just having a little bit of a spell here. QPR unable to get out of their own penalty area. And Nyambe standing with the ball in his hands at the moment, asking for options to come close to him. Mendes Lang is the only option. Yates now trots a little bit closer. And eventually Adams is the man who shows. Goes out to Nyambe, but ball given away. Frey trying to clear it away in the left back position. Derby back on the ball. They can't quite get the cross in because it's blocked behind for a corner. And they might get more excited than most here, the Derby fans, because they have scored plenty from corners this season. 8. Only Luton have netted more than them in these kind of positions so far this campaign. Paul Warne certainly worked a lot on those set-piece opportunities, he and Richie Barker. But a new coaching staff now at Derby. As Sam was saying earlier, everyone bunching around the goalkeeper here, Paul Nardi. They've seen him as a weakness. Bent in towards the far post. Header towards goal, but the referee spotted a foul in there, and QPR have a free kick. Elsewhere in the Premier League at the moment, it is Brighton 1, Chelsea 0. Mitoma with the only goal of the game there after 27 minutes. Madueke has gone off in that game as well due to injury. Sancho coming on for him. That game is live right now, a Talksport exclusive for you, over with Joe Shannon and former Chelsea defender Scott Minto. Tomorrow we've got live games for you at 12:30 from the Premier League. Leicester against Arsenal from the King Power. Sam Matterface and former England striker Dean Ashton, your commentary team for that one there. Or if you prefer, on Talksport 2, exclusive commentary from the Championship of Preston against Burnley. Faye Carruthers will be in the chair for that one. Adam Bridge and former Scotland international striker Chris Awellamo are your commentators for that. We've got Game Day Live with Adrian Durham, guests Troy Deeney, Scott Minto and Mickey Gray from 2:30. All the goals as they go in across the country from the Premier League and the EFL, including Manchester City against Newcastle, Villa against Ipswich and Fulham against Forest as well, and a full classified check at 5 o'clock. Villa against Ipswich is our live game on Talksport 2. 3 o'clock start for that one. Joe Shannon and Perry Groves will be the commentary team in the second city. Big game for McKenna there, the Ipswich boss, trying to get the points on the board as he tries to stave off relegation. Frey going for goal from way out here for QPR, and it had Zetterstrom sprawling across to his left-hand side. Everyone, including Sam Parkin, to my left-hand side there, thought that was going to drift into the top corner. Nearly a spectacular second.
Well, the ball was bobbling around, wasn't it? Nobody could really get hold of it. And then he must have had a look, Frey. He must have known the position of Zetterstrom was slightly high, or had noticed that previously during the match so far on the swivel. I mean, it's not a chip. He drills it kind of as it bounces up. Right foot, it's a bit of an awkward height, and he controls it amazingly. Misses by a yard. That would have been some goal.
And it was only wide by about a yard in the end, looking at the replays we've got in front of us here.
He kind of cut across it, so there was copious amounts of spin on it.
Yeah.
The trajectory of it was beautiful. It was almost like he was guiding it towards the roof of the net over Zetterstrom. It was a wonderful attempt, the type of thing that might happen every now and again on the training ground. I couldn't believe he was actually attempting it. Wonderful stuff.
Done. Past Harness down the right. Tries to play it infield, but it's blocked. Field picks up the loose ball and plays it left into Chair. He's already scored a sensational first tonight. Now trying to create a second as he goes on the outside. Low ball into the area. Palmed away. It's got to be. And is. It's 2-0. QPR have a second goal. And Pigbag rattles around this stadium again because it's been put in by Koki Saito for his second QPR goal. And that already means that this is a long way back for Derby County, whose fans are heading out of the stand already.
Yeah, tough. Tough for Derby because they probably don't deserve to be 2 goals behind. QPR have had the Chair goal, a speculative effort just then from Frey, and able to get the ball into Chair for this goal in the 18-yard box. The delivery is a good one. Zetterstrom can only palm it out. And the best thing about this goal, the composure from Sato, the touch, which means that a Derby County player goes sprawling. It would have been easy just to take it first time for Sato and try and get it through a number of players, but he opted to take a touch, and it was so clever. It just took a Derby player out of the game and the goalkeeper. It was Clark and Zetterstrom going to ground, and then he's got a much easier task to find the roof of the net. It's a bbrilliant finish.
Well, it might have been a tricky start here for Queen's Park Rangers, but they've certainly found their flow now. Chair scoring the first, Tim Park creating the second. Zetterstrom, could he do better there? Have you got to get something more on that to at least push it either side of your penalty area, not right back into the 6-yard box?
Yeah, I think so. You're always, hoping, I suppose, that one of your teammates can react and bail you out. Unfortunately for him, it goes straight to the feet of a QPR player. But yeah, if you're being uber critical, maybe the goalkeeper, because there was no real pace on the delivery from Ilias Chair. It looked, all ends up that it was going to be relatively comfortable for the goalkeeper. So yeah, amazing. QPR, having not played well, cruising 2-0 up.
But like you said, it was all about that touch, wasn't it, from Koki Saito, as it came back out to him. Could have just thrashed at it and hammered it into the net, but just sidestepped the goalkeeper and just lifted it high where he knew no one was going to be able to block it.
Yeah, because of the amount of bodies when it fell to him, my initial thought process was this is still a difficult opportunity to find a gap in the net where it was not guarded by either a defender or the goalkeeper. So the touch was sublime. I didn't see it coming. Wonderful composure.
Loose back pass here by Derby is giving QPR a corner. Flighted in high by Powell to the far side. Header down. It was Dunn that attacked it. Blocked by a Derby defender. Back out to the edge. Half-heartedly hit towards goal there by Saito. Back on the edge of the area again. Trying to find a way towards goal. Derby have dispossessed QPR. Trying to break out through Mendes Lang. He wins a free kick after he was tripped. And Derby maybe get away there because a third might have killed this game off.
Well, they definitely worked a block there to free up Jimmy Dunn. I think it was on Adams because he was completely unopposed, Dunn at the far post. Again, there was a lot of bodies in front of him. Both teams' players congested in that far post area, so it would have been hard for Dunn to score, but he was just trying to keep it alive. Thankfully for Derby, they were able to scramble clear.
Inside by Yang Min Hyuk. And he's trying to take them all on here. He's gone left, and Saito into the penalty area looking for a second. Tries the shot. Didn't have too much power on it, but it was blocked by a Derby defender, and it's gone behind for another QPR corner. The home fans are starting to love what they're seeing now.
Yeah, moved it really swiftly. I think the pass was on there to return the favour to Yang, who was on the overlap. Saito opting to go for the snapshot. Don't think it was really on. He was closed down by a couple of yellow shirts there. Had there been one more pass in that, QPR really could have been in business.
So QPR corner over on the left hand side here at the school end of this stadium. It will be an outswinger. And it comes towards the near post. Cook knocks down this time and just past the near post as well. Steve Cook there, a former Forest man, nearly sticking another dagger into the hearts of Derby County fans there. This time it goes wide. It remains QPR 2, Derby 0. Elsewhere, it is now Brighton 2, Chelsea 0. The two sides who met in the FA Cup last weekend. Brighton knocking out Maresca's side. And it is 2-0 there now. Yankuba Minte with a second goal, 11 minutes after Mitoma's first. That game is live for you right now over on Talksport.
Well, he thought that was in, Steve Cook. He was wheeling off to the Stanley Bowles stand over on the far side. He was surprised to see it just evade the post.
Here comes QPR again, up towards the edge of the penalty area there with Yang, but he loses it this time. Varane then gets blocked to the chest by Jerry Yates. Referee happy for play to continue. A few little challenges starting to go in now. But for Derby, a side that don't score too many goals. They haven't scored twice since New Year's Day when they lost 4-2 at Sheffield Wednesday. They haven't scored more than that and won since the 13th of December when they hammered Portsmouth 4-0 at Pride Park. So the data does say that it is going to be a very, very long way back for them from here. And what can John Eustace say to them at half-time here? 6 minutes away from the break, and from such a positive and what looked like it was going to be a fruitful game for them at the start has turned into another negative for them.
Yeah, I think without the ball, up until QPR's first goal, it'd been pretty good from Derby. Again, it's keeping the ball in the final third, having sustained pressure. They maybe did it for 1 or 2 minutes when they had a succession of corners, but other than that, it's just not looking that dangerous when they're in possession. They're not able to combine with the front players. They've not been able to fashion an opportunity really in open play, other than the Adams effort maybe from a second phase. And QPR, having got the goal, they've really built on it. They look confident now. Again, the structure of the team looks good, and there's more creativity, no question, in that front line than their Derby counterparts.
Frey holding it temporarily, at least, inside the penalty area. He was dispossessed in the end. Pal here, the Suriname international, goes back, and Edwards, who's been marauding forward with the ball at every given opportunity so far here tonight, in possession again and steps forward to halfway. Chair has drifted out to the left-hand side, receives it in his bright red boots and sends a long diagonal ball out towards the right-hand side, but Elder judged it well and nodded it back to Zetterstrom. In terms of the two benches tonight, didn't really mention them ahead of kick-off, but in terms of what Derby have to look to in reserve, outfielders of Craig Forsyth, Tom Barkhazen, Liam Thompson, Kenzo Goodmine, Caden Jackson, who was dropped today, Jake Rooney put onto the bench, Harrison Armstrong on loan from Everton as well. Is this the kind of game where he needs to make half-time changes, or does he persevere with what he's got?
Yeah, I think, in this position, 2-0 down, and not having had that period of the half when you're on top, not being able to create much at all on Paul Nardi's goal, I think we're in that territory. I think you're probably looking maybe at a personnel change at half-time, just to freshen things up, try and give you a little bit of impetus, and if that doesn't have the impact he's looking for, then you're looking at maybe structurally changing the system. I would anticipate probably an individual change, at this stage, rather than changing the shape of the team.
Elder motoring down the left here, gets the ball in for Derby, comes all the way through, Mendes Lang! Oh, it was blocked just wide. Thought he was going to fly into the bottom corner then for a minute. Mendes Lang arrived at the perfect time, put everything he had into that there, but a fantastic block by Powell to put it behind for a corner.
Brilliant block, because it looked like it was going to end up on Paul Nardi's target, no question, when Mendes Lang's arriving in acres of space, but then Powell just recovers. He gets caught infield with Jerry Yates, doesn't know that he's there, Mendes Lang, and then just reacts in time. Doesn't really close down the space, but just positions himself well enough to divert it away from the target. He actually looked like it was missing, having just seen it back on the monitor, missing the far post.
I don't think he would have put enough spin on that to bring it back inside the far post. Derby corner though, in towards the near post, headed away by Frey, out to Harness on the edge of the area, who maybe could have taken that first time there, but wanted to shimmy inside instead and then get the shot away. Instead, a long ball forward here for QPR. Zetterstrom comes out of his penalty area to head clear. A comfortable header down to Elder, who plays it into opposition territory, but QPR just keep bringing it back here. Chair now down the right-hand side, just behind Yang, who was making the run forward. And the Tottenham loanee can't control. It's out of play for a Derby throw. And they've just got to make sure here, Derby, they get to half-time with no more than 2 goals against them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the instruction, the conversations that they'll be having down there. Just don't do anything stupid in the time that remains. Just try and stay compact. Get in 2-0 worst-case scenario. And then your manager and his coaching staff have got to try and work a little bit of a miracle here, because it's not... Well, it's a position they've been in a lot this season regularly, but they've not been able to recover to take points from this type of position. So this will be some recovery from them.
It's a Derby free kick just over the halfway line here, which Osborne is standing over. Left of centre, so he'll hit this one right, you would imagine. One arm up in the air. Derby born and bred, a fan of the club as well, as he puts the cross in here. Salverson can't quite send it towards goal. It is behind for another Derby corner, looking to finish this first half strong. We've got a minute left of normal time and added time to come after that.
Yeah, it looked like Salverson was just a little bit hesitant there. It was almost as if he was able to bring the ball down, or maybe a combination of him and a QPR defender, and it was there to kind of swing a leg at. I think it's Cook who just reacted slightly quicker, and that is, probably a continuation of their season, really.
Corner whipped in, but QPR clear through Dunn, back in again, it's touched on by Salverson, who is in an offside position, grabbed anyway by Nardi, and this Derby attack is over. Being a Friday night game, it is a scout's dream, or an assistant manager's dream if you like. Just in Alan Nill go downstairs, his Sheffield United side, who he's the assistant manager of, playing QPR here in their next home game at the start of March, but Sheffield United on the road, not too far away from here at Luton tomorrow, so he looks like he's just come to take in 45 minutes and see what's what.
There's always a lot of managers, assistants, coaching staff. I think you go and have a nice bite to eat in Kensington or Notting Hill, don't you? It seems to be mobbed here with a who's who of London's football every time you're at a fixture and further afield.
There's some Portsmouth representation here as well tonight. That is QPR's next game away down at Fratton Park next Saturday. So throw in here to QPR. We are into 3 minutes of additional time. And QPR have done everything ultimately asked of them in this first half. Rode the initial storm from Derby and have taken their chances after that. 2 goals from 3 shots on target. As things stand, Derby yet to have an effort on the QPR goal. That has got to change in the second half for sure, as the ball ends up in the upper tier here in front of us.
Diving header from one of those scouts, that was.
A bold thing to do given how steep this stand is. You could end up anywhere. QPR throw by Dunn into Frey, who's worked his way onto the right hand side. Harness trying to hold him off. It's gone out off Harness. It's a throw here to QPR.
Another disappointing aspect of this will be that QPR haven't played well at all. I think, you can go back into the dressing room and say, they've been really at it tonight. It took 20-25 minutes for QPR to get on the ball, to look like anything they have done here at Loftus Road in recent times. So Derby started the better side, no question. QPR, it's a piece of brilliance to get them in front. And from that moment, they've been the only team in it, really. There's a real contrast between the fluidity of the front players, the confidence of the front players. They just look a hell of a lot more threatening. The 2 wide boys have been good.
Chair helps it forward. It was nearly into the path of Saito, who picks it up now, being pushed away by Sonder Langaus, who eventually gives away the free kick there, right on the halfway line. Talking of QPR, though, as you were just saying there, if you're relegated or promoted into the Championship, there's a good chance you're going to be playing them. Their 10th consecutive season at this level after Premier League relegation in 2015. They have only finished 9th since then. That was under Mark Warburton in 2021. You would have thought that in that time they might have got the formula right, but it's just never quite happened for them, has it?
No, I think it's having a cohesive plan. I think it's having that joined up thinking, and I think in Cifuentes, they've got someone who, if they give continuity to, could bring the good times back here. I think Mark Warburton was probably the closest to doing that. Ironically, John Eustace was here working as his first team coach, and I think they had a little bit of a swagger for a period under him. They rolled the dice, if you remember, in the January, I think it was, with the likes of Charlie Austin and Sam Field coming in, weren't able to get promoted that year, and I think they obviously stretched themselves, and they were counting the cost of that gamble for a number of seasons, which inevitably has taken its toll a little bit. But now, with a really savvy managerial appointment and some excellent signings, it would seem, I think in time this is a QPR club now and side that's going to challenge getting out of this division once more.
Duran just down for a few moments there, so pause in play. Derby throw eventually taken by Elder. Young heads clear. Chair goes down in the middle of the park. Free kick, but half-time. Referee David Webb calling an end to this first period, where Derby County started so well, were looking the better team, just didn't really test QPR with any chances on goal, and ultimately QPR hitting them with the sucker punch. A brilliant first from Ilias Chair, 21 minutes gone when he picked it up almost 30 yards from goal and hammered it into the far corner. Zetterstrom with no chance there, and then created the second. His low ball in from the left. Zetterstrom could only palm it back into the middle of his 6-yard box. A touch taken by Koki Saito, and he hammered it high into the net to double QPR's lead. Big changes needed for Derby in the second half if they get anything from this game, because at the moment they look anything, or nowhere near rather, a win in this one. It looks like it's going to be another winless game for them, having not won now since Boxing Day. Their run of 9 championship games without victory looks set to become 10. Half time here at Loftus Road. QPR 2, Derby County 0. We'll be back in a few minutes' time as we look ahead to the rest of the Premier League and EFL weekend.
This is the call of the chiff-chaff. This is the call of the willow warbler. Hear the difference? Thankfully, some things are obvious, like choosing Interactive Investor for your ISA and personal pension. With 30 years' experience, over 430,000 customers, and a rating of excellent on Trustpilot, the choice is obvious. Search Interactive Investor. Investment values can go down as well as up. You could get back less than you invest.
The fight card of the century, live on DAZN, February 22nd, with belts on the line all night, featuring Dubois versus Parker for the World Heavyweight crown, Beterbiev versus Bivol 2 for undisputed glory, Adames versus Shiraz for middleweight domination, Buatsi versus Smith in the Battle of Britain, plus 4 more solid gold fights. Each one will see a champion crowned. Watch the fight card of the century, live on DAZN, February 22nd. Buy now at dazn.com/boxing.
With a Travis Perkins trade account, you open the door to big trade deals every single month. Right through February, get 50mm PIR insulation boards at just £22 per sheet. Join the club and get this and other big trade deals this February with your trade account. Travis Perkins, doing what matters for the trade. All prices exclude VAT at 20%.
3 kids, filthy football kids, 2 windswept parents and 1 muddy dog. Life throws a lot at the Mazda CX-5, an SUV that's ready for any family adventure. It's available with low-rate finance of 2.9% APR representative when financed through Mazda Financial Services and ordered before the 31st of March 2025. Search Mazda. Available on PCP when financed by 30th of June 2025. Optional final payment for ownership. Indemnities may be required. 18s and over. Terms apply.
Choose what they love this Valentine's with treats from Market Street, like fresh oysters from our fishmonger, our British sirloin steak from the butcher, and our heart-shaped strawberry tart glazed with creme patissiere.
More reasons to shop at Morrison's.
Majority of stores excludes Morrison's Daily. 6 fresh oysters, £5 sirloin steak, £19 per kilo. Offers end 16th of February.
Perfect timing. Flawless execution. 2.5 turns. Darren Jones, you're a pro with that spanner.
Thank you, Tom Daly. Your boiler's all fixed now, mate.
Oh, you legend. You save bath time.
No problem.
No heating or hot water? Contact British Gas before 11 a.m. and we're committed to being there same day, whether you're a customer or not. T's and C's apply. Based on 2024 data, 80% of customers receive this service.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the English Football League.
Game day.
Captivating commentary of the weekend's biggest games.
Dynamic and dazzling.
Tomorrow, exclusive full match commentary of Aston Villa versus Ipswich.
He has scored yet again.
Coverage from 2:30, kick-off 3 p.m.
on Talksport 2.
The Monday Club on Talksport 2.
A broadcasting juggernaut of sport.
They were in big trouble at half-time.
Professional analysis. He always gets away with these tactical fouls.
Oh, he's the master of the dark arts.
And refreshingly frank opinion after all the action.
I don't know if they're as open as they were and as aggressive as they were.
The Monday Club. The sharpest minds in the business.
Elite level mentality.
Monday afternoon from 5.
On Talksport 2.
It's the totally immersive football experience.
Right foot it. Oh, what a goal!
EFL Live
on Talksport 2.
Surplus to requirements in the Premier League as QPR go for it, and that is a quite stunning goal. Ilias Chair from way out has fired it into the far corner, and for all of Derby's good play so far, it was a touch of genius from the Moroccan maestro. Things just happen in this stadium that don't always happen at other grounds in the Championship. Frey going for goal from way out here for QPR, and it had Zetterstrom sprawling across to his left-hand side.
Bit of an awkward height, and he controls it amazingly. Misses by a yard. That would have been some goal.
Now trying to create a second as he goes on the outside. Low ball into the area. Palmed away. It's got to be. And is. It's 2-0. QPR have a second goal. And Pigbag rattles around this stadium again because it's been put in by Koki Saito.
Tough for Derby because they probably don't deserve to be 2 goals behind.
Yeah, so that was how the first half sounded here on Talksport 2. Half-time at Loftus Road, QPR 2, Derby County 0. I've been watching alongside Sam Parkin in this first half, and Sam, we were just talking off air there about how the first half has gone, and Derby will be so disappointed to be ultimately 2 goals down in this game.
Yeah, they started quite bright, didn't they? And they put a little bit of pressure on QPR, and Rangers were struggling to play out, and they were struggling to connect with their midfield. Ronnie Edwards and Steve Cook want to get on the ball, but Derby were pressurising them high. They were quite aggressive, and it was looking like it was going to be a difficult night for QPR. It took the goal, really, to inject a little bit of life into the home side, and from that moment on they've really gone on. The front players have started to enjoy themselves. You've seen the confidence that they've been playing with at home there in abundance, and Derby have lost their way, no question. From about the 20-minute mark, they've not really landed a punch. There's just the one opportunity from Adams to talk of, and I think the lack of threat, the lack of goals has been absolutely evident to me in that opening 45 minutes, and it means that we're probably, looking at John Eustace and his staff to see if they're going to be proactive straight from the off in this second half and make a change or two.
Just seeing a replay of this second goal for Saito, there are 8 Derby players inside their own penalty area there, and not one has been able to stop the cross from Chair, which was him simply shifting it to go on the outside and putting a low ball in, and ultimately got to the second ball once Zetterstrom has palmed it back out into his box.
They seem to get a little bit ruffled, a little bit disjointed immediately after conceding the first. There was a couple of other counter-attacking opportunities where QPR just couldn't really find their last little piece to set up a good opportunity. But yeah, Chair gets in far too easily. Sato's the one who reacts. He actually gets a little bit of good fortune because the skill's brilliant to take it away from Zetterstrom. Then he just tries to take the leather off the ball. He actually slices it a little bit, but it goes flying into the top right-hand corner. Looked brilliant from where we were sat, but I think he was a little bit fortuitous in the execution of his finish. Just seen the Mendes-Lang half opportunity at the opposite end as well, which Partle doesn't know a great deal about it, but makes an important block for Rangers. So same theme really for Derby, competitive to a point, just a lack of killer instinct, which ultimately is really affecting them at the moment.
And you can describe their chances, Derby, as nearly moments, can't you really? Harness, Mendes-Lang, Adams fired one over the bar as well.
Yeah, the Adams one, it looked like a good chance because he's completely unopposed, but in truth he's still having to take in a short touch and then finish with a volley from about 20 odd yards. So it was half a chance at best. You want to see, I suppose, a little bit more pressure, concerted pressure built on the QPR goal, balls into the box, gives Salverson something to go and attack. I think that's a big thing. You've got a 6'1", 6'2" physical centre forward in your ranks now who's starting games, but you're not sourcing the box with a nearly enough quality. Nothing from Elder apart from one ball early part of the game, nothing from Harness, nothing in terms of crosses from Mendes-Lang, and you got someone on there who's not the most mobile, who's going to thrive if you feed him with balls into the box. So they need to do that a little bit better in the second half, and I'm sure that'll be part of the game plan and part of John Eustace's conversation down there.
And just lastly, in terms of what Eustace does here, all of the Derby outfield subs are going through a passing drill down in front of us at the moment. I'm just trying to see who they're calling back in here, because it looks like they are going to make at least one change here.
Yeah, that looks like Houtmine going back down there, who is obviously the most creative probably of the midfielders that they've got in their ranks. He's flattered to deceive a little bit. He's played a number of different positions, but he is someone, I think, when he's at it, can have that little bit of guile and probably see that pass above anyone else maybe that they've got in their midfield option. So yeah, that wouldn't be that surprising to see him maybe occupy a role as a number 8 or possibly as a number 10 in the second half.
Yeah, we'll bring you news of that substitution as and when we have it. Elsewhere at the moment in the Premier League, live on Talksport, it is Brighton 2, Chelsea 0 at half-time. It's going well for the Seagulls this Friday night. Mitoma and Minte on target in the first half. That one at half-time as we are here. But tomorrow we've got live and exclusive Premier League action coming your way on the Talksport network as well, starting at King Power Stadium from 12:30 as strugglers Leicester City take on Arsenal. Ahead of the game, Alex Crook sat down with Fox's midfielder Harry Winks, who began by reflecting on their season so far as they sit in the relegation zone, desperate for points.
There's been times this season where we've performed really well and haven't come away with any good results or a positive result, but there's also been times this season where we've performed poorly and haven't been up to the level, especially last week against Everton, which is a game that we needed to reflect on and look at. But I think all in all, we've shown signs of quality this season. We just need to try and find ways of getting results.
And you've had a week to lick your wounds after what happened at Manchester United in the FA Cup. Obviously, it was heartbreaking the way it ended and controversial as well. But can you take a lot of positives out of how well the team did overall?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we spoke after the game, and it was disappointing, to lose in the manner that we did. But I think if we actually, dissect the performance and look at how we performed at Old Trafford, it was, there's plenty of positives there. We defended really well. We created some good opportunities, and it's just one of those bittersweet moments that we have to sort of get over with and move on to try and take the positives to go into the Arsenal game.
The manager has spoken about the importance of enjoying the pressure that you're under. How easy is that to do?
Yeah, it's something you have to embrace, and I think we certainly are embracing it. We know that we're in that fight. We know that we're in there. No one's shying away from that. We talk about it regularly. We train like we're in a relegation fight, which we are, and no one's sort of oblivious to that fact. But it's what happens on the pitch on a weekend is the most important thing. And we've got players in the team who are experienced, players who have been there before. So it's about tapping into that, but then also giving some of the young players who have never been really experienced this kind of thing before, but to go and let them have the freedom to try and express themselves and win us matches.
It's inevitable that when results aren't going your way and you're in the relegation places, there's going to be a bit of negativity amongst the supporters. There's a lot of people who are writing Leicester off and saying you're championship bound. Can you use that to create a siege mentality heading into this game at the weekend?
Yeah, I think the manager's made that clear since he's come in. It's us against the world, and we need to sort of unite as a team and be as close as we can. And the only people that can help us is ourselves. So when we're on the pitch and when we're training every day, it's about being as close as we can, but also pushing each other, because we know that the demands of this league is huge, and especially going into the last few months, it's important we stand up to the challenge, and we certainly are doing that.
Yeah, so they're the thoughts there of Harry Winks ahead of that game tomorrow, which is live on Talksport for you. 12:30, the kickoff, presented by Reshman Chowdhury. Sam Matterface and former England striker Dean Ashton will be your commentary team for that one. Arsenal looking to try and close the gap on Liverpool, who of course dropped points in the Merseyside derby a couple of nights ago. We are just waiting for the two sides to come back out here for the second half, and a guest of honour on the pitch at half-time, former QPR player Dave Thomas, who was playing for them between 1972 and 77, voted one of the top 10 legends of the club by QPR fans back in August 2023, and Sam Parkin, everyone appreciating seeing him here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Supporters of a certain vintage will rank him as one of the best players in the club's history. Old-fashioned winger, part of a great period here at QPR where they nearly won the First Division title. You probably didn't know that, James, but yeah, just got muscled out by Liverpool late last knock-ins. But yeah, one of some terrific players during that era. Obviously Rodney Marsh, subsequently Stan Bowles, who we've already mentioned tonight. So yeah, big part of the club's history.
Yeah, Derby, of course, were there two Premier League or top tier titles rather in the 70s and 72 and 75. Changes here at half-time. Barkhuizen has come on here for Derby. He's going to go and play on the left-hand side. And both sides are back out here, just trying to see if QPR have made any alterations or not. Doesn't look as though they've switched anything up ahead of the second half. The referee just counting up the numbers in front of us here and waiting for the signal from the TV men down below here. Derby with a big second half to try and get something out of this game. Even a point now would be a positive for them, but it's wins that they need to deal in the games that remain in this season. And they'll be nervously watching the other teams behind them take to the field over the next couple of days. They will have played 2 games more by the time that Hull, Plymouth and Luton play this weekend. They simply need to get themselves back on track and back up the championship table. We are back underway in the second half. It is QPR 2, Derby County 0. And straight away, QPR in the box. They've got a 3-on-2 here, but the flag's up for offside. The ball knocked off the post in the end by Ilias Chair. Not that it would have counted anyway. Nearly, Derby could have found themselves in all kinds of trouble 10 seconds into the second half.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been catastrophic in relation to tonight's game. That would have been it, you would imagine. But the referee's assistant's flag coming to Derby's aid, and they'll just want to start this half better. It's Salverson, isn't it? That's been withdrawn. Barkhuizen going wide on the left-hand side. So I'd imagine Harness's position, albeit he was central for a lot of the game tonight, he's going to be up there around Yates anyway from the outset of this second half. And those crosses that I was crying out for there at half-time, they're not going to be forthcoming because their main target's gone off. But
I think Barkhuizen was the one you identified at half-time as being a little bit off it for Derby tonight.
Salverson. Salverson. Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was partly because they're not playing to his strengths, but absolutely he was a little bit hesitant when the ball went into him on occasions and hasn't really had that impact. Maybe he's going to be someone as a bit of a plan B, which he's been utilised as to good effect on occasion, coming on and then when you're getting a little bit desperate in the games, it gives you a slightly different outlook when you've got that physicality at the top end.
Jimmy Dunn in possession inside his own half here for QPR, who are attacking the Loftus Road stand in this second half. Frey down the right hand side here has been flagged offside by the assistant. Just to tell you that live motorsport returns to Talksport 2 tomorrow with exclusive commentary from the Formula E World Championship. You can join us on Talksport 2 for exclusive commentary tomorrow evening. And for a full race preview and all the reaction, check out Talksport's Motorsports YouTube channel, Talksport Driving. Plenty of traffic jams around the Shepherd's Bush area this evening. That never changes round here. One-way traffic here so far with QPR 2 to the good. Derby have to try and find a way to respond. And they're in possession here with Ebu Adams in midfield. Gives it to Clark, who steps forward towards the halfway line, checks and goes inside to Adams, who is standing on the centre spot. Back to Clark. Clips a high ball towards the left-hand side, but beyond the run of Elder there, and straight out of play. Barkhuizen it was, in fact, who was closest to it. Elder had just drifted in field.
Interesting that kind of tactic has been abandoned by Derby at half-time. Barkhuizen's definitely going to keep the width for them on the left-hand side. Harness obviously was playing tucked in for the duration of the first half, so you got an out-and-out winger really on opposite sides now, in Mendes-Lang on the right, Barkhuizen on the left, and Harness now down the middle as a starting position alongside Yates.
Parle plays it back and got a bump in the back there from Harness. The referee had the whistle to his lips and was ready to blow, but plays advantage in the end as David Webb. Cook out to the right hand side to Chair, or Shahir to give him his proper pronunciation, but Chair very much the accepted way of saying his surname in these parts. Field is out on the right hand side, shielding the ball and able to turn away from one, now running at Osborne. Tries a little trick off one foot onto the other and rolls it down the line, but it goes straight out of play into the photographer's pit. And it is a goal kick here to Derby, who need to get on with things and quickly. We've played 3.5 minutes in the second half here on Talksport 2. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Derby County 0.
It's going to be interesting how they kind of utilise the players they've got out there now, Derby. You've got 4 very athletic players across the front line. They're not going to be able to go long too often because Edwards, as we're seeing here, and Cook are just going to eat all the direct balls up. So you're going to have to be a little bit more precise with your build-up.
Ball slipped down the left and Saito plays it across goal. Deflection on that cross as well. Comes out to the right-hand side where QPR will try and go again with Jimmy Dunn. He's got all the step-overs here and rolling the ball underneath his foot. Goes back one. Cook swings it into the area. And eventually Adams will play it away, and potentially a chance to break down the right-hand side here for Mendes-Lang over the halfway line. Running here at the QPR back line. Nathaniel Mendes-Lang, little step over, tries to go on the inside, but Chair blocked him off, and he goes out of play for a Derby throw. Midway inside the QPR half on the right-hand side. And it's still QPR 2, Derby County 0 here on Talksport 2, your home of the EFL.
It's got that feeling if QPR to score early here in the second half, it could get ugly for Derby. I think they've set up to have a go tonight in terms of the personnel. They could have been more defensively set up in terms of the structure of the team. Maybe gone with an extra midfield player. They've gone with a lot of the forward players, and at this moment in time, it's not paying off whatsoever. Unable to lay a glove really on QPR throughout that opening 45.
Chair on the left, just inside the Derby half by a yard or so. Goes back into his own half now to Kenneth Parle. Chair plays it forward down the left, but Mayambi's there to clear up for Derby. Over now to Clark on the left-hand side. Once again, the away side having plenty of possession at the start of this half, but isn't translating into any chances for them at the moment. Back with Edwards. Cook alongside him inside his own half. 15-20 yards outside their own penalty area. Varane takes it off the back line and steps forward. Without trying to draw a direct comparison, very much the Rodri in the QPR side tonight.
Not been able to get close enough to him. They haven't, because Osborne and Adams are quite deep, kind of on the toes of the two centre-halves. It's fallen on one of the front players really to drop in. Harness will do it better probably than Salverson or Yates naturally could attempt in the first half, because Harness has played a lot of football slightly deeper than those aforementioned players, but still Varane's been able to break up play and also get on it and knit it together comfortably for Rangers.
So the way that Derby have gone in this second half is Mendes-Lang right, Barkhuizen playing off the left, and then Harness playing in and around Jerry Yates, who's moved slightly further forward in this second half. He is their top scorer with 7 so far this season. Adams second in the list with 4. Jackson on the bench tonight on 3. Goodmine 1 behind him on 2. But Yates actually having 7 goals, actually more than any QPR player. They've really shared the goals around, haven't they, QPR, in their recent rise. Frey only on 6, Dunn and Ryan Coley on 4 each, but Coley out at the moment, medium term with injury. One of a number on the treatment table at the moment for QPR. Karamoka Dembele and Lucas Anderson. Jean Chellar as well, the centre forward. Jake Clark-Salter not near being fit either. Harvey Vale isn't due to be back until next season, having been signed from Chelsea. They are missing a number of senior pros. Cook with a header into the air here, but not particularly forward for QPR. Derby with it down the left-hand side, but can't bring the ball down. Varane neither, just hammers it into the sky. Harness eventually gets the ball on the deck. Adams takes a touch, tries to play it to the right, but it was blocked there by Chair. Frey now can play it away to Yang on the right-hand side. He's shown glimpses so far, but here the ball rolls out off his boot. It's a throw into QPR.
Yeah, well, there was high hopes for Jan Salah coming in the summer. Madsen as well, you could put in the category of quite big outlays for those two players, and they've combined for 3 goals so far this season. So Frey was probably looked upon as being a bit of a bit part this season. He's had to play the majority of the games and done fantastically well, despite not, racking up a huge goal tally, but he's been pivotal to the upturn, and that probably just underlines that this season has taken a little bit of time for QPR to get going, because some of the summer signings in essence have underperformed and not shown themselves to be good enough for the level. Some of these other players have really come to the fore.
Yates chasing down the right here for Derby. He's managed to squeeze the ball into the box. Osborne goes back out. Harness on the right-hand side. No space for a shot. He was trying to find another Derby player in yellow, but was unable to do so. QPR clear it away, and a poor piece of control there by Langhaus. Frey trying to get on the ball, but in the end he has won it back. And then Frey's pinched it then off Adams, who didn't see him coming at all. Great play by the QPR front man, and the home fans enjoyed that. Just over 16,500 here at Loftus Road tonight. Chair from way out strikes again, this time down the throat of Zetterstrom. Not quite with the finesse of his opening goal.
No, couldn't get the direction. When it went for power again, Ilias Chair, but just too central. Zetterstrom comfortable. Little surprise once he chopped in off the left-hand side. He didn't look to just try and bend it right-footed towards the top right-hand corner as we look, but comfortable for Zetterstrom.
Third goal here for QPR would be game over, no doubt about that. It might be game over already. Derby need a goal back in this one sooner rather than later. But goals hasn't been their currency this season. So to play for a throw-in here on the right-hand side, which Nyambe is going to take here for Derby. Has to go back to Langhaus, and in turn rolls it all the way back to Zetterstrom. I think John Eustace has said, and perhaps no surprise given he's arrived in February, that he's going to be here no matter what happens next season. He already addressed the fact in his press conference that they could quite easily go down, such is their position in the table with just 14 games to go. But he's very much in it for the long term. Sold the vision by the owners. Adams over to the left-hand side here to Elder for Derby County. They're inside their own half and not moving the ball with any particular pace at the moment.
There'll be a complete realisation that their chances of staying up is going to be defined by the home form, no question. Have they got it in them to win some narrow games, hard fought? They probably have. I mean, this is a bonus the away games at the moment. When you look at the record, 8 without a victory, just a solitary win this season away at Coventry, where they shouldn't have won that game either. Coventry were far and away the better side, I felt.
Chair hobbling around here,
night,
having been caught. Mendes Lang down the right-hand side, running here against Kenneth Powell, gets a low ball into Harness at the near post, can't quite get a touch, still Harness, there was a hand in there, still going here for Derby, goes right the way across the face of goal and out the other side, but a moment there that Derby maybe could have found a way back into this game and maybe had a penalty as well.
Yeah, Harness on the stretch at the near post. Mendes Lang's delivery is kind of flat across the surface. But he does well, Harness, just to get something on it and divert it towards the target. I think it was possibly Nardi. It was one of those that maybe looked like a little bit of a optical illusion from where we're sat. I think it's maybe the goalkeeper, certainly with the initial hand on the ball. Barkhausen does appeal for the penalty. Inconclusive from what we saw live and also the picture on the monitor. Maybe it's the loanee from Southampton, Edwards, that was in the vicinity.
I think you're right, though. I think it was the goalkeeper that got a hand to it. We'll certainly call it an optical illusion anyway. I'll happily go with that.
Yeah, sometimes it happens, doesn't it, when you're fixated on an area, a lot of bodies.
QPR in the box again. They could be in for number 3. Chair makes it 3. He hammered it home. Lovely cut back to him there by Saito. And that is game over, surely, with just 11 minutes gone in this second half. And the Derby fans away to our right-hand side, piling out into the London night. They've seen enough, and QPR have surely done enough. It's QPR 3, Derby 0.
Brilliant play on the right-hand side again, and that shows you the confidence. They weren't going in previously for Ilias Chair, but all of a sudden QPR's tails are up and Ilias Chair is in really confident mood. He makes a lovely run into the area. Again, it's a giveaway. Will Clark just hoist the ball into the air? QPR are quicker, they're more aggressive to get to the loose ball, and Chair, edge of the 6-yard box, diverts a firmly struck delivery from Yang on the right-hand side, who gets in on the act. The young man on loan from Spurs, it's his little touch out of the sky, and then he puts it on a plate for Chair to crash into the roof of the net.
He hadn't scored this season before tonight. He's got a double here now. He netted here against Derby back in early 2020. And he has scored twice here tonight to surely wrap up the victory for QPR. And John Eustace won't want to come back here for a while. He lost here with Blackburn on the 4th of February. And now here on the 14th, it looks like it is going to be defeats again. QPR looking like they're going to keep up this strong run here at home. 6 wins in their last 7 home games here in front of their own fans. They had failed to win in their opening 9 games this season. A tough place to come, it was not, but it's certainly turning into that fortress again here now. And where did Derby County go from here, Sam Parkin?
They're going to be tough. Going to be a tough half an hour for them. QPR have come out absolutely flying in this second period. There was that half chance for Marcus Harness, but everything we've watched has been predominantly to our left since the start of the second half. Confident, shifting the ball around, front players really hungry for more.
Cook out to the right-hand side. QPR want more. Dunn shifts it onto his left. Back to Cook, who crosses from deep. Great ball as well. Free header away by Sunder Langhouse. QPR start again on the halfway line, and Derby at the moment just don't really know what to do or where to go. And who knows, if they managed to score at the other end through Harness a couple of minutes previously, it might have been a very different game. But now 3 goals down, there is surely no way back for them from this. They are about to make a change. I think Goodmine is going to come on here. He was called back into the dressing room at half-time, but didn't come on immediately in the second half. But it looks like he'll be introduced here around the hour mark, and QPR preparing a couple of changes themselves. Of course, they've had a couple of games this week. They didn't play last Saturday because of the FA Cup. Played on Tuesday the 4th, and then Tuesday the 11th just gone. And they're ready to freshen things up here with a 3-goal cushion to their name. And Steve Cook just standing on the ball inside his own half and asking Derby to come and chase it. Edwards into Parr, the left back, who drifts in field. Back to Edwards again.
They started the game pretty well, didn't they? I think they were in QPR's faces from the opening first few minutes were quite aggressive in terms of their setup. They got after QPR when they were trying to build, and they disrupted them, no question. I just think the attacking nature of the side, having 4 out-and-out forwards on there, just leaving them a little bit short in midfield, especially when you think of Osborne. You know, he's not someone that can play every minute, not someone who can play consecutive games because of his age, and he's in there in a 2 at the moment, and they're getting ran all over the pitch.
QPR with it down the right-hand side. Dunn back to Field, such a graceful player on the ball. When he's on song, he's giving it away here as he tried to go through 2 players, and the gap really wasn't there for him. And QPR back with it with Ronnie Edwards on the halfway line. And he goes back here to Nadi in the end. Of course, the other thing about this damaging defeat, as it looks to be, is that it's going to harm their goal difference as well. They were on only -9 before tonight, Derby, now on -12, and Hull, on the same number of points as them, are on -11, something that could come into play at the end of the season. Saito with it on the left, into Varane in the middle of midfield. He got so much space to run into there. No one in a Derby shirt close to closing him down at all. Yang on the right-hand side, who's starting to enjoy himself now, played a pivotal part in that goal. Jimmy Dunn coming inside, Field edge of the area, trying to curl one, deflected. Frey can't get a boot to it, and Clark clears it away. Headed back though by Cook, who was barged into there by Harness. No harm intended, but just caught him late there. And it is a free kick to QPR, nearly 25 yards inside the Derby half, and maybe just within shooting range if someone fancies it.
He does well from there, Steve Cook, because he's clattered by Marcus Harness. A few verbals on the deck, but then gets straight back to his feet, and the officials deem it just a foul, nothing more.
So it's the end of the night for Yang Min-hyuk, the Tottenham loanee, joined last month. It was his first start tonight, and I think he'll be happy enough because he'd had a few fleeting moments in the game, but he was the man who really opened up Derby for that 3rd goal.
Yeah, he's shown some really nice touches throughout. I think they've all been bright across QPR's front line. The 3 supporting Frey gets a well-earned rest, and Paul Smith's been having a really good time of it as well. So yeah, no decrease in the quality. Morgan coming on for Field, who's an excellent young player. James, who's been so impressive this season.
Yeah, only 18 years old. He turns 19 a month from now. And such is their position in this game. I think that's Marty Cifuentes saying, let's have a look at you and see what you can do.
He's been brilliant. He can't last the 90 at the moment, Morgan, so he's been having to be managed. Quite often he's the first to vacate. If he starts games 60, 70 minutes, his number goes up, but he has got real quality, no question, and maybe not quite at the level to get around it at Tottenham just yet, but he's shown more than enough quality to be good enough for the Championship. He's been excellent.
QPR free kick goes in towards the far post, headed away by Nyambe. Back out to the left-hand side, Varane gets it onto his left, hoists one into the box towards Frey, far side. Still in there for QPR. Saito on the right-hand side, trying to wriggle away from Mendes-Lang. QPR wanting a 4th goal here. They've crossed to try and get one, and it's gone behind, and actually the referee has given a free kick here, and the yellow card is going to be shown to Mendes-Lang as well, who took his man out late.
Yeah, a little bit of frustration just seeping in now to this Derby performance. Mendes-Lang left a little bit on someone down on this near side a few moments ago, and there once more a little bit late in an area of the pitch where you can't afford to make a challenge like that. It's in desperation trying to divert the intended delivery away from the box, but it's a poor challenge and definitely should have yielded a foul.
So this free kick just around 3 or 4 yards in, diagonally from the corner flag on the right-hand side. QPR here trying to send this ball into a very congested penalty area. Derby with every player back no more than 10 yards from their own goal. They've got a 1-man wall and 1 charger as well. It looks like QPR are going to send this ball straight into the box. It will be Kenneth Powell to deliver. Over on the right-hand side. And they grab goal number 4 here. Whipped in with great pace, and they have! Flicked in at the near post! So simple in his creation, and QPR having a field day here. And it's Ronnie Edwards who has grabbed the goal. And it's his first for Queen's Park Rangers. His first for anyone since he was playing for Peterborough in October of 2023. And that is such sloppy play from Derby to concede from a position like that.
Yeah, it's a bad mistake from Mendes Lang. It was a completely unnecessary challenge. You can see the joy that's been met. This goal going in from Ronnie Edwards. It's just a brilliant delivery from the right-hand side. It's put in with so much pace, so much venom from Parl into a beautiful position for a player attacking it, and he just gets the slightest of touches on it. Zetterstrom comes out almost to deal with the initial cross, but Edwards is there first, grazes it towards the target, ricochets off the goalkeeper somewhere and flies into the roof of the net, and the goal scorer is ecstatic.
And he flies away and celebrates in front of his adoring public these days. Ronnie Edwards with his first goal for Queen's Park Rangers. Colleague here at Talksport, Adrian Durham, been singing his praises for years, and now he has got his move. Maybe some thought it might be a little bit higher up than Southampton, but back on loan here in the Championship at Queen's Park Rangers. And in the aftermath of that goal, it's a double change here for Derby. Osborne and Mendes Lang off, Jackson and Gudemine both on. I think those changes were probably coming anyway, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they needed something drastic to happen here, Derby, so he's rolled the dice now. John Eustace clearly tried to freshen things up, but the game's gone well and truly. I said at 2-0, the way QPR came out the traps at the start of the second half, that this could get ugly. It is getting ugly. Needed to maybe just stiffen up that midfield earlier in this game. As it is, it's been really open in the second half, and QPR are in the mood that they are here at Loftus Road. We're just toying with the visitors at the moment.
It's going to be QPR's biggest win of the season. It's going to be Derby County's biggest defeat of the season. Jackson helps it forward here for Derby towards Yates, but Cook got something on it. Edwards. You're getting sacked in the morning, sing the home fans. Well, that would be a little bit harsh on John Eustace, although not the first game you'd ideally want. Oh, Varane dancing round players here. He goes back to Morgan. Chair. Is this damage limitation now for Derby if they got to shut this game down somehow? As much as their fans want to see them try and attack a little bit more and find a way back into this, it's simply not going to happen for them, is it?
No, absolutely not. It's at the moment a QPR team that are full of confidence, stroking it around beautifully. Derby can't get anywhere near them at the moment. I'm just looking to see how they're going to kind of set up now with that multitude of changes that they've made. If they're going to be a little bit more conservative, I suppose, just to not let this defeat get any worse.
David Klaus watching on, the Derby County chairman and owner of the club as well, not looking too impressed by what he's seeing. QPR free kick in here. Every time QPR get into the box at the moment, it looks like they're going to create something or maybe even score. Back out the Chair on the left-hand side to Varane, who's the deepest of all the QPR outfielders, and he's 20 yards inside the Derby half. They fancy more here. A block off at head height almost there on the QPR player, but no free kick given by the referee.
I think it's
a Derby throw.
Sorry, James. I think it's really important not to get carried away. I think John Eustace and his staff have probably had one day, but we've seen shots of the owner on the monitor, and even now, surely he'll be thinking, and I think from the outside people will suggest maybe it wasn't a great deal to do with the manager, Paul Warne, who was early part of the season getting some standout results and getting a bit of a tune out of this squad that is probably lacking in real quality to...
Oh, QPR really playing here. Frey, right-hand side of the penalty area. Cross-come shot in the end, flies over the bar.
Yeah, with the necessary quality to stay in the division was the point I was going to make, as Frey got into a great position there, inside right channel. Should have found his teammate square. Was a couple of players in blue and white joining in the 18-yard box. Kind of a cross shot, wasn't it? And sailed to safety over Zetterstrom's goal. But, yeah, as you say, ripping through Derby at the moment.
And QPR at the moment heading towards their biggest win here since they hammered Leeds 4-0 in April of last year. And it's going to be a sorry night for Derby County and their fans. many of whom have stayed, many of whom have left, who might already be sipping a cold one in the defectors' world in Shepherd's Bush.
Yeah, it looks like Harness is just dropping in a little bit to maybe aid Adams and Houtmine. I mean, Houtmine, for my money, is not a number 6. He has played there, and he played there previously under Paul Warne, but...
Chair goes direct, high ball over the top. Oh, and Zetterstrom right on the edge of his penalty area there. He was being closed down extremely quickly by Paul Smith. Just about managed to deal with it there, the goalkeeper, who hasn't covered himself in glory at times tonight.
Yeah, he's not had a good night. Had an excellent start to the season, but certainly not this evening.
Jackson on the right here for Derby. Shapes the cross on his right, back onto his left, back onto his right again. Header. Well, it was going to be a header towards goal, hopefully, from Barkhausen there, but well headed away by the QPR defender, Jimmy Dunn. And it's a throw into Derby, high on the right-hand side that Nyambe is going to take. Jackson here having to redo his laces first, which isn't ideal at this stage. And of course, the other problem for Derby is they've got a resurgent Plymouth coming up behind them as well, haven't they? They've picked up not only good results in the Cup against Liverpool, but hammered Millwall in the week as well.
Yeah, maybe the biggest thing for them is identifying the areas that they needed to strengthen in the January window as well, and rolling the dice, bringing in players that were known to the new manager Muslic there. And if that Liverpool game's anything to go by, and the subsequent victory over Millwall, they have got a great opportunity of salvaging this season yet.
Another change here for QPR, double change in fact. Frey coming off as Alfie Lloyd comes on, the 21-year-old centre forward, and also the Dane Nicholas Madsen on, summer signing from Westerlo. He's replaced Ilias Chair, who has shown glimpses tonight of the Ilias Chair we've all known and loved from the Championship over the last few years, and 2 great goals as well.
Yeah, he's a brilliant talent. Love watching him when he's on song. Ilias Chair, he's not had enough nights like tonight so far this season, or probably across the last few campaigns. But
what has happened to him in that sense, do you think?
I think probably speculation, maybe during a period here at QPR where his future lies. Obviously there was an incident off the pitch as well, so...
Well, ball back here to Zetterstrom. Sorry, for a moment there the goalkeeper was going to have a bit of a moment, but managed to clear it away.
Yeah, I think maybe just had a little bit of a dip in form ultimately, and tonight certainly right back at it. I think the last few weeks, I think the performances have actually been really good. It's obviously always good for a sumptuous delivery from wide. He's always going to be the most creative spark, but I don't think he's ever been the most polished of finishers. But tonight showed his quality in abundance with the first one, and the second one probably doesn't happen unless he gets that first one. He probably hasn't got the want or the belief to get into a position and finish as he did. So I think this could prove to be a really pivotal evening in his kind of rebuilding as QPR's main man.
Koki Saito in possession, back to Parle and Varane. QPR playing with such more confidence and vigour and style in this second half. Really slow starters in this game. And they've certainly made it theirs as this night has progressed here. Ball out towards Dunn on the right-hand side, who had to readjust to just keep the ball in play, let alone find a teammate. Derby with it now as they look for a goal which would add some respectability to the scoreline and not too much else. I'm not quite sure how honest John Eustace is going to be after the game. We talked about his honesty pre-match tonight in terms of the move that he made from Blackburn down to Derby, but it'd be interesting to see how much blame he puts on the players for this one. Gudemine tries to play it out to the left-hand side to the run of Callum Elder, but QPR block it. It's a throw-in to Derby in line with the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, it's not going to be a night that he looks back on fondly. I'm sure there's immense pride being Derby manager, especially his history with the club.
Barkhausen into the penalty area, but it was just a bit behind Harness there, who has rescued the ball here for Derby, who are just having a few moments. Gudemine from way out here has hit it towards goal and hit it on target, which not too many Derby players have done tonight. In fact, that is their first shot on target in the game with 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, decent attempt, probably best part of 30 yards out, just a little bit too central. Not caused the problem by it.
High ball here towards Lloyd, who's shielding it from Clark on the right-hand side. It's a free kick, though, to Derby after a foul on Harness. I wouldn't say they're shell-shocked here, Derby. I'm sure they knew what they were coming up against. These are relatively household players and household names in this division, but just don't seem to have been able to throw anything back at QPR after that initial spell they had.
No, they've been blown away in this second half. They competed really well for 20 minutes or so in the first half, and then it's been one-way traffic. They have capitulated, and he'll learn a fair amount about his team tonight, John Eustace, that's for sure. If he didn't garner it from watching, I'm sure, copious amounts of tapes across the last few days, footage, getting to know the players in the short space of time that he's been there. But yeah, I'm sure he'll react in turn to this next time out when he's putting an 18 together for the game.
Clark carries it forward from the back. It's now out with Kenzo Goodmine on the left-hand side. Derby trying to get the cross in here, and they do of sorts, not to any great effect. And actually, is it Elder who's gone down there off the field of play after a late challenge seemingly on him after he tried to cross the ball? It is... Well, I thought the referee had given a goal kick there for a second, but it looks like he's pointing for a corner now.
You don't get those too often. I think Elder is definitely caught by Smith just on the byline as he was looking to deliver it. Smith sliding in.
It was Goodmine who slipped him in down the left-hand side, and Smith, who went in, kind of jumped into the challenge and caught Elder afterwards. Not with any great power or malice, but did catch him. Derby with the ball, midway inside the QPR half. Down the left-hand side here is QPR 4, Derby County 0, with 77 minutes gone here on Talksport 2. Chair with the first after 21, Saito with the second on 35, Chair again on 57, and Ronnie Edwards from a well-worked set piece midway through the second half have us at this scoreline at the moment. And we'll breathe more life back into this QPR side. It's a win for them that, as things stand, will have them in 11th place, an improvement by 2 places compared to where they started the night. They'd be 4 points off Blackburn in 5th. Nothing's impossible, but they're going to have to put some more wins together, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Pompey away next time up, and then there comes a bit of a hellish run, really. Sheffield United, West Brom, Middlesbrough, Leeds, the next 4. So I think realistically a playoff challenge is probably going to be defined over the next 5 games. They've got to try and get maximum points against Pompey and then upset the odds really against 4 teams that are all jostling at the top end of the division. But as I said at the top of the programme tonight, I don't think there's too many teams outside the top 4 that are more capable or playing better than QPR at the moment, despite a little bit of a wobble recently.
Yeah, and I think you've seen when they've totally been on song here tonight, Derby haven't been able to get near them. Short, sharp, concise passing, 1 and 2 touch football. It's been great to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be 7 wins in 8 at home, and you said it early part, there's only really Leeds from a stage of the season who can match up to QPR in terms of the way they've been picking up points. So it's been a brilliant turnaround. If they don't make it this season, they'll just be regret at how the season started naturally. But I think a lot of that down to the new players not probably acclimatising in time for the start of the season.
On the 26th of November, they were bottom.
Yeah.
That's how far they've risen.
Drift, wasn't it?
Yeah. And Cifuentes, who managed to get them playing last season as well. They were in the relegation zone until the 24th of February last year. Managed to finish 18th in the end once they'd managed to get Gareth Ainsworth out the door and brought in Marty Cifuentes.
Yeah, and let's get it right. He had a lot of cash in the bank from last season, but having started the season as they did, a lot of owners would have changed. Managers, no question. There was a little bit of noise from the outside, but I remember being here for games during that run. His name was still getting sung, and the owners rightly awarded him a new contract, stuck with him, and turnaround has been immense.
Varane to the edge of the penalty area, plays it back here to Cook. He's only 10 yards outside the box himself. Smith takes it and tries to turn. Clark edges him away. Dunn takes over. Smith inside the box onto his left. Oh, he tried to set it back there, and it wasn't a terrible ball if someone was running onto it, but no one there in a hoof shirt able to fire it home from the edge of the box.
Yeah, able to keep the ball alive for an age there, really. QPR winning second balls, again, just passive. Derby County in opposition. And just that last little pass going astray from Paul Smith as he looked to tee up a teammate.
And this February is Football versus Homophobia's month of action. If homophobic or discriminatory abuse is witnessed, it can be reported directly to clubs through Kick It Out, the EFL's reporting tool, or by alerting a steward nearby. Cook to Varane. It's Ole football time here at Loftus Road. Spread of play there by Varane. Parle stepping forward from left back into midfield. Lloyd dropping off the front and going forward. He was pulling the trigger there from a full 30 yards, but it was blocked. And in the end, Zetterstrom comes way out of his goal, but then was taken away right in front of him by Callum Elder.
The optimistic Alfie Lloyd. It's nice to have a player who can come on for fray and be incredibly energetic, different type of player, stretch the play, really athletic. Just gets a little carried away there with his first involvement, shooting from 30 odd yards.
Some fans starting to head for home. We've got 8.5 minutes to go here. QPR 4, Derby County 0.
A little surprised that he stuck with the same system. I've got to say, you don't want to wave the white flag, admit defeat, but I just think in this second half there's been wide open space, especially through the midfield. QPR with the additional body in there, Varane, Field, Chair, run the game, started the second half, and that's where it got away from Derby. Yes, it's a little bit conservative and it's easy saying it from here, but I just feel like been left
more chance here in the area for Derby. It's a high flighted ball which is dropped for Jackson, and an incredible miss from point blank range, somehow put over the top there when it looked easier to score. The goal was gaping, it was wide open, and somehow Yates has managed to sky it.
Well, I'll stick up for him because it looks easy, because he's completely unmarked and the goal's gaping, but it comes at him so fast. He's not anticipating it coming in his direction. It's a shot, I think, from Caden Jackson on the right hand side. It's coming through bodies. You're just reacting and hoping, and on that occasion strikes the ankle and goes high, wide and handsome, but it looks, I think, worse than it probably was.
Liam Morrison's going to come on here for the closing stages for QPR, and Steve Cook gets himself a rest. The Scotland under-21 international is going to come on. It's his first appearance actually since before Christmas. Hasn't played at all since the game here against Preston on the 21st of December. Another win for QPR that day. It's certainly going to be a win for them here. It's been a good day for QPR. They've been able to rotate in this second half as well. Harrison Armstrong's about to come on here for Derby. But I think as a young substitute, it's not the kind of game you want to come into, is it?
Not really, no. Game well and truly gone. You'd be happier coming on when you've still got something to play for.
Yates down the left, slips it into Harness here. He's inside the box. Goalkeeper Nardi came to meet him, but backed off in the end. On the left-hand side, a chance to cross. High ball into the middle towards Jackson. And it's just skimmed off his head and away to the right-hand side. Nyambe. Ebu Adams forward to Caden Jackson down the right, but too slow to turn, and it just behind for a goal kick here to the home side. So Armstrong is going to come on, the 18-year-old on loan from Everton. And he is going to replace Ebu Adams here in midfield. And that's going to be one quiet coach journey home, isn't it, if you're a Derby player?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Armstrong's a player who, the player that's been brought in, that's got a little bit of creativity about him. I think that was definitely what was required during the window, and they've not really got it. I think the misfiring nature of the performances of Harness, Mendes Lang, Caden Jackson, that's really been evident in the last few weeks. So there's going to be expectation, I think, that Armstrong can provide a little bit more for the front players in the time that remains this season. But yeah, this is going to be a tough one to react from for Derby, and like QPR, there's some really tricky games coming up. You expect them to obviously really fancy that game next time out against Millwall at Pride Park, but after that, some competitive games against teams that are in the playoff mix.
But a solid week on the training ground, at least. They haven't got a midweek game, so they've got a block of worker there where they can really get down to doing things that Eustace wants to implement, can't they?
I think so. I think ultimately it'd be so interesting to be privy to obviously the conversations between him and the owner, because there must be the realisation, the reality that they could drop out of the Championship. That could easily happen in the time that remains, and there has to be accountability that maybe the squad's not good enough, and Paul Warne obviously I think has been criticised quite heavily throughout the season. I think there's a lot of goodwill towards him because of the type of guy he is and because of the sterling work he did there last season, but I think a portion of the Derby fans probably wanted this change earlier. It's come late in the day, and I think on reflection it's only 90 minutes, yes, what we've seen this evening, but I think this is a squad that was always destined to be really desperately trying to maintain their Championship status, and that is absolutely how it's going to play out, irrelevant of who the boss is.
Not a happy opening game for John Eustace. The last 8 Derby managers have been unbeaten in their first game. 4 of the last 5 have started with wins. The last manager to lose their first game was Darren Wassell when he was in caretaker charge in February of 2016.
And they're missing Nat Phillips tonight, who will go back into that back 3, but Matt Clark and Longas have not been on it at all. When you think about the quality they've lost in Cashin and obviously Nelson due to injury, big problem for them.
Harness on the right here for Derby, digs out across, gets it in towards Yates, and Derby do have themselves a goal. But no, they don't. The flag now goes up for offside, and when it's not your night, it is not your night, and this one is not going to stand as Yates just slides it in from a few yards. He is flagged offside.
Well, to the naked eye, it didn't look offside. It doesn't look offside on the monitor either that I've seen, unless he starts in an offside position and maybe just readjusted. We're going to get the answer in a moment. It's a brilliant decision. Yeah, he was just trying to get back alongside, I think it was Morrison, and try and position himself in an onside position and then dart towards the wonderful delivery from the right-hand side, but he didn't do it in time. It's an absolutely brilliant call from the referee's assistant. I take it all back.
Yeah, Rob Smith, the man with the flag down on this near side. Another one of those optical illusions, I think we'll say.
Yeah, he didn't look offside, but it's a brilliant shout.
Smith down the right, ploughing a lone furrow at the moment. It does go out off him though, and it's a throw to Derby. 2.5 minutes left here on Talksport 2. It is QPR 4, Derby County 0. Remember, we have got another massive game for you tomorrow lunchtime at King Power Stadium. 12:30 start. Struggling Leicester City take on Arsenal. A game that Arsenal simply have to win to stay in the race for the title, if you can even call it that at this stage. Here come QPR, looking for a fifth to round things off nicely. And they come forward down the left-hand side. Saito was just waiting for the ball to come to him. It was nicked away from him by Jackson. In the right back position is Ryan Nyambe. The Namibia international has won a throw, but these Derby players just want this game to be over now. Don't think there'll be too much added time. It hasn't been a game that has stopped too much throughout the night. And their pain is nearly over.
Hardly seen a tackle. I mean, there's been a few, hasn't there, like late on with Derby players snapping in. There's Harness again, a little bit high on Jimmy Dunn.
Edwards holding on to the ball, then he goes down as he saw the challenge coming. Wins a free kick for QPR on halfway. And by and large, Ronnie Edwards has had a pretty good game tonight, hasn't he? Not only at the back where he's looked so calm on the ball, but also got his golden attack as well.
Yeah, he's terrific. Really talented young player. Would be amazed if the majority of the Championship clubs weren't looking at him, interested. I'm slightly surprised he probably hasn't ended up at a club that are really fighting at the top end of the division, but yeah, he's been excellent again tonight.
Well, certainly with Southampton likely to be in this division next season, you would imagine his immediate future will be with them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he'd probably be deserved of minutes in their side right now, but no bad thing getting him the opportunity to play week in, week out at a club in the Championship who have still got the potential of having a great campaign.
3 million, Darren McAntony, the Peterborough chairman, accepted for him in the end. Lloyd, QPR still hunting another goal, but they don't get it in this move yet. Lloyd works it right now, Smith going right out to the right wing here, but the referee didn't see that as an advantage as we enter 4 minutes of additional time. And it's a free kick here to QPR. probably around 35 yards from goal, almost dead centre, maybe just right of centre here. And once again, Derby pulling everyone back, and QPR seeing this as a chance to get goal number 5. Kenneth Parr standing over it. Another option there as well is Madsen. Parr is the man spotting this ball up. Surely this is going to be a cross, or he might go for goal. Looks like it's going to be crossed. Hoisted into the area now, headed down. There are 3 QPR players in there, but one of them was offside, so free kick given by the referee. And we've played nearly a minute of the 4 minutes added on. So much for only a small amount of added time.
Yeah, last thing that you need as a visiting player here, 4-0 down. Just want the whistle to go, as you said a few moments ago, James. Get back on the bus and try and wipe it off as quickly as you can. And John Eustace will have to get down to work, won't he? Probably on Monday now. There's been so much going on at the club off the pitch. Just get them in on Monday, go through the video and get them out, as you say, on the training pitch. There'll be a lot of walking through. There'll be a lot of tactical sessions, I'm sure. The most important thing, I think, for any John Eustace team that we've seen during the 3 years or so that he's been managing is just getting the fundamentals right defensively. And that's been, you know, something that's been evident to me throughout this season at Blackburn, but also here at Derby County under Paul Warne. And tonight they have looked so open, so all at sea defensively.
More away day problems for Derby. We're heading towards defeat number 11 on the road here tonight, and their worst defeat in any game this season. As bad as they've been this campaign, they have only lost by a 2-goal margin up until now. But this takes them 2 steps further after that. We've got 2 minutes left here of added time. I think I know what your answer is going to be, but has there been a standout player in this game for you, Sam?
I would say there's probably been 2, and you know that I'll go for the man with the brace, Ilias Chair, but I think Varane as well. I think in the holding midfield position, when he's in QPR's team, it just allows Chair, for one, to go and do what he's done tonight. It makes Sam Field, I think, a better player when he can play box to box. So yeah, Varane terrific, but great seeing Chair back amongst the goals.
Varane with the header down here as QPR try and force their way into the penalty area. Clark heads clear towards Harness, who takes it down well, plays it out to the right hand side, but past Jackson and out. Did Derby just not have enough goals in this team, do you think, at this level? Is that possibly going to be their undoing in the end?
I think it's a combination now, isn't it? I think you have to factor in the lack of goals, of course, the lack of creativity, but I also think incredibly disrupting, losing Cashin, the best player. I think when I've seen Derby this season, Nelson played every minute for Paul Warne before picking up this injury across 18 months, so he's been fundamental to their success in League One and then relative success at the start of this season. So I think there's a number of contributing factors now, but yeah, probably if they are going to stay up, we're going to see narrow home victories at Pride Park, and if they can get 4 or 5 of them in the time that remains, that gives them a chance.
Jackson with a late challenge here has given QPR a free kick right by the corner flag on the left hand side. Remember, live action on Talksport 2 tomorrow. Preston Burnley 12:30. Ian Danta and former Scotland striker Chris Owello are your commentators there, and Aston Villa, Ipswich is our 3 o'clock offering from the Premier League. We are almost done here at Loftus Road, and QPR have a free kick on the left, which they're just keeping by the corner flag, and that is time. Well, John Eustace, I'm sure, would have expected a tough night here, but maybe not as tough as this. Derby falling to 4-0 here as QPR really turned on the style in this one. They were 2-0 up at half-time. They were 4-0 up by the midpoint in the second half. A brace for Chair, Koki Saito with one as well, Edwards with a header from a free kick as well. And really, Derby County have to go and thank those fans who've travelled all the way down here, because they have offered very, very little at the top end of the field tonight, Sam Parkin.
Yeah, really flat night for them after, you know, quite a bright opening 10-15 minutes from the visitors. I suppose a continuation in the fact that they didn't create much on QPR's goal, but I think it's the defensive display tonight that will be causing these Derby fans more concern when they go back up the motorway. But yeah, you can't put too much of that on John Eustace or his staff's door, of course, because he's only had one training session with them. But big 7 days for them now or so to try and work with the players, get them more cohesive, get a little bit more fight and get some belief amongst the playing squad that they can stay in the Championship. That was as convincing a home win as you're going to see.
Yeah, Derby into the relegation zone now. They have dropped a place on goal difference below Hull City, who move out of the drop zone. It is very, very tight between those two teams now. Luton bottom on 27, having played 31. Also played 31 is Plymouth, who are on 28. And then Derby and Hull either side of the dotted line. But Derby now have played 2 more games than all of the sides around them. And they will be looking on when those midweek matches come, hoping that those teams around them aren't picking up any points, because they could be in a far worse position than they are already.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably for the players, you just switch off now at the weekend. You know what's going to come on Monday. You're going to go over the video. I don't think John Eustace is going to read the riot act. Of course he's not. I don't think any of his staff will as well. They're just in the door. So it's about obviously reflecting on the 90 minutes that they've seen. Eustace is going over to the fans now.
And he's just put his hand underneath his chin as though to say, keep your heads up. How do you do that after a performance like that?
I think it's difficult, but the reality is that it's a new era for them. They've got someone back who showed incredible fight when he was a player at Derby, and they'll know that he will have a lot of those characteristics which would have continued into his managerial career, and they'll hope that he can inspire these players to rally at least towards the tail end of this season and make themselves competitive as they fight to stay in the Championship. He's someone that just doesn't get carried away. He won't get carried away if they'd won 4-0 here tonight, and he's not going to be too downbeat. He's pretty level across it when he's either playing or managing, so I'm sure that characteristic will serve them well in the time that remains.
The story tonight was all about Derby County, but let's talk about Queen's Park Rangers. Their fans serenading them at the moment on the far side of the ground. That was as good a performance as surely they've put in all season.
Yeah, I mean, there's some brilliant performances, I think, here at Loftus Road. From 20 minutes in, I'd probably agree with you. Defensively not tested tonight at all. And as I said during the commentary there, Pompey away from home, it's a challenging place to go at the moment, the way that they're playing in front of their own supporters. And then I think a defining quartet of games really: Sheffield United, West Brom, Middlesbrough, Leeds. But having been here when they dispatched Leeds at the end of last season, I think when the big clubs come to West London and the fans turn out, it can be a difficult place to play, equally as it is down at Fratton Park. So they've got a chance, QPR, of the playoffs. They've got a chance of creating something really memorable. And tonight, first-class display from a side who for 15 minutes weren't really at the races. So lots to admire about them this evening.
Sam, thanks very much for your company tonight. A reminder tomorrow what we've got for you across the Talksport network. Live Premier League action, 12:30, Leicester City against Arsenal. Sam Matterface and former England striker Dean Ashton on commentary there. Preston Burnley, same time on Talksport 2 from the Championship. Feisty North West game there. They'll meet in the FA Cup as well, of course, at the start of March. Alan Bridge and former Scotland striker Chris Wellamo on commentary for that one. While at 3 o'clock at Villa Park is Aston Villa against Ipswich Town. Joe Shannon and former Arsenal winger Perry Groves, your commentary team for that one. But from all of us here at Loftus Road, it's a very good night. Coming up next on Talksport 2, it's PGA Tour Live, the Genesis Invitational. From all of us here, we'll see you very soon.